Boys and girls, welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot today. I have a very special co-pilot that you guys, if you've been living under a rock, have missed. We've got our very own NYJ Matt coming in, breakfast sandwich king himself. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man. You do great work over here, and just, what a day. Mike Williams is the most important story. The Jets get a 6'4", 220 wide receiver too, and the Jets woke up today a lot better than they woke up yesterday. So a hell of a day. A hell of a day.
I love it. I love it. Boys and girls, if you haven't done so already, down in the description down below, you will see a link to NYJ Matt's Twitter. Go hit him up, as well as subscribe to the Broadway Jets YouTube channel. That is going to be linked in the pinned comment above. So if you can click on the live chat, go over to that video, say Jets Talk sent you. I'm going to pick someone at the end of this show to win a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese for the win shirt. Someone's going to get that at the end of the show. And if you're watching this after the fact, all you got to do is comment over on that video. We're going to give another one away at the end of the week during the call-in show next week. So make sure you head over there. Really cool. If you want to get the shirt and you don't feel like doing the contest anyway, link is in the description down below. Some of the proceeds go to NYJ Matt, a great Jet fan over here, helping us get the best players on the block. I absolutely love it. So before I ask NYJ Matt exactly how the story broke down, let's go over to the video from Mike Williams actually getting the sandwich. If you guys haven't seen this, it's been all over the place. Let's listen to this first.
Am I trying this right now? For real?
You want to. You don't have to.
No, I mean, I'm kind of hungry, low key. I'd take like a bite or something. Damn, that dude picked up good. Do I have to rate it like 1 out of 10?
Why not?
Ooh. Where's this place at?
In Morristown.
It's good. It's good. This one got the deal sign right here.
So you heard it from Mike Williams himself. This is what the deal, or how the deal got done right here. So Matt, walk us through your thought process going into doing the sandwich, and also how things unfolded during that day yesterday.
Yeah, so I'm very self-aware of the fact that all I did was order a sandwich and delivered it to a different address than my own, right? Like, I'm very aware that that's all that occurred here. But one of those moments where you're sitting on the couch, you think of an idea. I said, hey, Mike Williams is landing in New Jersey tomorrow. It'd be pretty funny if you send him over a delicacy of New Jersey, New York cuisine of, hey, pork roll, Taylor ham, whatever you want to call it. And I'm on the phone with the DoorDash driver. I'm trying to get her to get through security. I'm trying to take a left here. I know where to go because I've been to Florham Park. And thankfully, she brought it there. I said, hey, I just need a photo of you delivering it so people don't think I'm faking it. And as soon as the Jets tweeted it out that they got it, it kind of just ran from there, right? It went a lot more than I expected. But that was it. It was sitting on the couch and thought of an idea, and I'm glad it panned out and it worked, because if he didn't sign, it would have been a lot of, hey, why not bacon, egg, and cheese? Why did you order why salt, pepper, ketchup? Why not like Chipotle mayo? I thought I'd get like in trouble if they didn't get him. So I'm happy it ended well. Very happy.
So you went with the pork roll, Taylor ham, whatever. We won't get into that debate. But any toppings on top of it? Salt, pepper, ketchup? Did you do anything inside of the sandwich itself?
Yeah, I went SPK.
Okay.
It's weird. In the video itself, you don't see the ketchup on there. So that's a potential factor we need to consider. Is there a second sandwich like the Kennedy assassination? Like, is there a second? Like, we gotta really break it down if we need to. But
there's someone in the ghillie suits outside the sign that swapped the sandwiches.
Yeah, salt, pepper, ketchup was the play, I thought.
Very cool, very cool. Well, that is awesome, guys. Like I said, Taylor ham, egg, and cheese for the win, or TEC. I shouldn't speculate or assign a title to it. It's like that girlfriend that you meet in college. Oh, what are we? Don't worry about it. We don't need to assign labels to it. If you click the link in the description down below, NYJ Matt gets a kickback from the shirt, so 100% head over there. And if you sign over on the or the click on the pinned link, make a comment over on the video, subscribe to their YouTube channel. We're trying to get them up over to the monetization status. We want to get that up for them. Leave a comment saying Jets Talk sent you, and we will do a giveaway at the end of the show. So, Matt, I do want to get some of your thoughts about some of the other Jet free agent moves that have happened. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Joe Douglas having some success wheeling and dealing a little bit. Did not see the Morgan Moses acquisition at $5.5 million. What has been your thought process so far with how the Jets free agency period has gone?
Yeah, so I think day one, day two, you're a little concerned. Is the pattern going to repeat of, hey, we're going to make kind of bargain moves and not really make that big swing that we need? And it's unfair. Like last year, you got Aaron Rodgers, so I defended Joe Douglas. I said, you could do whatever you want for the rest of your career. You got Aaron Rodgers, and, that's it. But every move they made after Aaron Rodgers last year didn't pan out. It shot back in their face. So this year, you're like, hey, we need to make that one move. And I think Jets fans were fairly critical to a point, though. I always signed off every tweet where, hey, if you do get Tyron Smith, it changes everything. Because the whole plan, in my opinion, is to bring back the special teams, which they did, get a veteran quarterback, which they did, 3 offensive linemen to start, which is a very hard thing to do, and then a receiver 2, and not just a wide receiver 2, like a high-end wide receiver 2. And day 1, day 2, it looked like wasn't going to happen, and then we're on day 7, and he hit a home run. So I love the moves. He went from having a almost D- first 2 days, where you're like, if you don't figure out tackle or wide receiver, you're going to run it back with a very similar team, and you might be lucky to be a wild card team. Once you get Tyron Smith, once you get Morgan Moses, once you get Mike Williams, it changes the whole narrative. So I think it's a home run, at least in the past week.
Now, as far as like other needs that we could have for the New York Jets heading into the draft, you want to plug as many holes as possible. We still have 5 weeks till the draft, I believe. What other needs do you see on this team right now? And are there certain ways you'd like to address each one? Maybe particular players that you like or have in mind?
Yeah, the word that everyone uses, which I'm happy, is flexibility for the draft. You can do anything you want at 10. Brock Bowers is a very hot name out there. I like Brock Bowers a lot. Aaron Rodgers doesn't contribute to tight ends as much in the past 10 years, and I don't know if they're going to go that route. So then it comes down to receiver and tackle. In terms of like getting that one more, the needs are easy right now. Running back to another interior defensive lineman. But Ryan, at like 10, I really want the Jets to be aggressive both ways. If you want to trade back and recoup a second round pick if your guy's not there, that's fine. But if there's a scenario, and I know Daniel Jeremiah put it out there, is if Marvin Harrison Jr. is there at 5, I think it's going to take more than a 2. I do that trade immediately, because you are then fully on win now. You have Garrett Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. for the next decade. But I do see the need of getting a tackle. Like David Bakhtiari would be a fun backup tackle. You don't assume that Tyron Smith and Moses is going to play 34 games combined. But Carter Warren and Max Mitchell are fine depth pieces. But if you want to draft tackle at 10, I totally get it. The only downside is that if everyone stays healthy on the offensive line, you're mismanaging a little bit of resources, which if you're winning, it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, and I think you put that beautifully. The Brock Bowers thing has really been like the hot button topic really all off season. And now that it's become a little bit more, I feel like, plausible because we've plugged all the holes that we have right now, I could see the Jets going that way. They had Michael Mayer on their list last year. They seemingly wanted to come up for Jahmyr Gibbs. So they're looking for some type of home run talent for sure. But as you mentioned, Aaron Rodgers doesn't really utilize the tight end. I believe the best tight end that he's had from like a statistic standpoint is Tanyan, who had like 11 touchdowns the 1 year. But then if you look at like outside of that, Tanyan's other 4 years with Rodgers, he's got a total of like 6 touchdowns. And Jimmy Graham, when he was there, had 10 touchdowns before he got to Green Bay, 8 touchdowns immediately after he left Green Bay, and only 4 touchdowns or 5 touchdowns, I think, with Aaron Rodgers. So tight end very much may not be in the cards for the New York Jets. And I'm sort of torn on this because I do like the idea of going with the weapon. I think wide receiver provides a ton of value for us. And if you can go up to get a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Malik Neighbors or whoever you deem as the best wide receiver that complements your team, I think getting up to number 5 would make a crazy ton of sense, and be damned with the future draft capital if you're going to lock in for a Super Bowl this year and potentially next year. It seems like they're aligning everyone with this 2-year window with Rodgers. They got Zuerlein back 2 years, Morstead back 2 years, Mosley back 2 years. They signed Tyrod Taylor, John Simpson for 2 years. So it's definitely like the direction they're kind of sort of jockeying for. And you touched on it Wide receiver or weapon versus offensive line at number 10. The chat's going to be all sorts of fired up one way or the other. People mad at me saying, you can't go with a tight end in the top part of the draft. What do you say to people that say you can't go tight end at the top of the draft, but are also seeing teams like the Lions, the 49ers, the Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs all have top tight ends, but they weren't taken in the top 10? How do you kind of like maybe think of that the way teams are built right now?
I think they would view Brock Bowers as a like unique weapon, not just a tight end, because he's played slot at Georgia, right? You can put him anywhere in the field, and the Jets don't really have an aggressive slot guy right now. They don't have a tight end that, in my opinion, moves the needle enough. Now, Jeremy Ruckert, a great story. We love him for his blocking. Hasn't shown the ability. Hasn't been really given the opportunity to be a pass-catching tight end. And Tyler Conklin's a guy that's very underrated. I get that. But my other thing on Conklin, and I'm very pro Conklin. I want to make sure that's very clear. Most of his production is in the fourth quarter when the Jets are down 20 points. Like, you'll have Zach Wilson hit him 3 times in a drive for 40 yards, and then his stats get a little bit inflated. So, like, I need more of Tyler Conklin in the first half. That's just like, I can't trust him to be the number 1 tight end. So if you want tight end at 10, you want tackle at 10, you want wide receiver at 10, you want trade up, trade down, you can make the case, I think, more in any other year for the Jets that, all those 5 things make sense if you lay it out the right way. So I don't think it's crazy to go Bowers at 10. I probably lean way more receiver tackle, but I can flip-flop on this in an hour. Like, if I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, I may be, hey, we need to draft tackle, definitely. So it depends day by day.
Oh, 100%. I feel like I'm on that same sort of wavelength. Like, in my mind, I would love to trade down and try to get like depth pieces for both offensive line and wide receiver. But the Jets can really like focus on offensive line. I think they have like a little bit of like an ace in the pocket, if you will, with McGovern potentially coming back and a Bakhtiari signing over the summer. Like, that creates enough depth on the interior that I am totally fine with going with a weapon. So if you want to go up and make that big push for a Marvin Harrison Jr., if that number 5 pick is up for sale, which I think it's going to be, I think J.J. McCarthy probably winds up going number 4 overall because the Broncos and Raiders are going to be in on a trade up, and the Vikings, by virtue of not, the division rivals are not going to trade with the Chargers. They're going to have to come up to number 4 in order to secure them. So if the Chargers fall back to number 10, they could still get the right tackle if they're looking for that. They bookend the tackles for Herbert there. I think it would make a whole lot of sense to come up and get a weapon.
I agree. And you look at Harbaugh is in day 1 and now building for the future, whereas the Jets are in day 365 in terms of like their run. They need to win. So I think that trade makes sense. And I like the idea of being aggressive. And I don't want to do the whole F them pick scenario because I know that picks do matter. But man, if you're not in the playoffs for 13 years and your job's on the line and you can get a Marvin Harrison Jr. type prospect at 4 quarterbacks go, just do it. Like, just do it. And we'll be annoyed in 2025 if we don't have a 2 and a 3. We don't have a 1 potentially, which could be a theoretical package. But I'm doing it. I want to make the playoffs this year. Not only do I want to make the playoffs, I want to go 2, 3, 4 rounds and win the whole thing. So I hope they're aggressive. You can go Rome, you can go Neighbors if he falls, but I just right now I lean, hey, we're 1 injury away from Xavier Gibson and Allen Lazard playing like 80% of the snaps, and I can't have that. And we're 1 injury away from having Max Mitchell be the tackle, so I get that too. So it's a tough balance that we got to figure out.
Oh, 100%. And with the weapons too, I feel like Marvin Harrison Jr. he's got such a high floor, and he's like NFL ready right now. I love the whole lineage thing with prospects like Frank Gore Jr. and like all these, like Patrick Surtain Jr. You see Asante Samuel Jr. coming to the league, and like all these different players are pro ready because they've been basically trained since birth to get into the NFL. So Marvin Harrison Jr. has that, and he's got the elite size, the elite speed. You're not worrying about developing a player, and I think that's where like the attractiveness of that particular option is so great for fans. And like you said, this is a 1-year contract for Mike Williams. There's a good chance he's just trying to jettison to a big contract next year. And what are you left with? Not a whole lot.
Yeah, and Lazard, you can make the argument, hey, he's had an 808 touchdown year with Rodgers if he's there. So is that bad of a wide receiver 4? Probably not. The penalties and stuff were brutal last year. But if you do have those three weapons on the field, you're a very probably lean pass heavy team. But then you have like maulers in the run game. Like it's a weird balance that I don't know how the Jets are gonna figure it out. And sadly, I don't think they have the offensive coordinator to put the pieces together. So we will have to see. That's my one like nerve point probably moving into 2024 as a coaching staff. I thought Saleh regressed a lot in game management. I feel like every time I can judge a coach on do they go for it when I think they should, or do they kick a field goal when I think they should, timeout, and he just did everything wrong, it felt like, in 2023, where I thought he was not bad in 2021, 22. So that's my one fear, man, is Hackett and Saleh. Are they game managers, or are they just like fun people to be around in a locker room?
Yeah, we saw a lot of the contention last year, and it really felt like once Rodgers went down week 1, we just threw our hands up and said, well, better luck next year. We didn't really have a backup plan. We're going back to the guy that had worst quarterback play over the last like decade or whatever it's been, or historical, in Zach Wilson. So kind of frustrating. I guess that's an interesting point. Do you think Zach Wilson ultimately gets traded, or you think he's going to wind up being cut? We saw Justin Fields go for like a late 6th round pick in 2025. What are your thoughts on Zach Wilson and where he may end up?
I thought the market would be there for like a day 3 pick swap, like a 7th round to a 6th round, maybe even the same round. If you're a coach out there and you want to grab a young prospect, but his contract doesn't really allow for it. You're a 2nd overall pick. You're getting a good amount of money. You're probably going to be gone after the year. You don't want him to be your backup plans. You don't want him as quarterback 2. So do you want to move capital to get him? I wouldn't if I was a GM. You can say a lot about Zach Wilson. I actually think he handled his time here in New York very well off the field. I think he was pretty stand up to the media outside of one lapse against the Patriots. So I'm not going to kick him while he's on his way out. He was a very bad quarterback on the field, and I don't think they're going to get a pick for him. I'd love to like hang up here and look at our phone and he gets to the Rams. He gets somewhere that he can try to rebuild something, but I think they're going to end up probably having to cut him.
Yeah, I don't see any way that there's like a patching up of sorts with the New York Jets, because we do still need, potentially a 3rd string quarterback, but I don't think anyone in the Jets stands wants to see a Zach Wilson on the roster after the last 3 years here. Dallas comes in with a super chat. Thank you so much. Dallas says, I'm coming in here late, but thank you, Matt. So the fan base clearly grateful.
It is all Jets Twitter. I cannot stress that enough. Jets Twitter, resharing it, liking, commenting. Like once you have that, you hit an algorithm, it went viral. And if I tweet that out and one person replies and I get 2 likes on it, we don't have this whole fun storyline. So all the credit goes to Jet fans. I did the We Won GIF because it was
I was just going to say that. Go on.
Yeah.
He had well, for those of you guys that may not have seen it, he had the Walter White, like, I won, but he changed it to We Won, and it was like very team-centric. NYJ Matt's a team player. If you guys have not done so already, in the live chat, there is a pinned comment. Click on that link, comment, Jets Talk sent you there, subscribe to NYJ Matt's channel, Broadway Jets, and we're going to give away a shirt here in just 5 minutes' time. I got NYJ Matt till about 12 o'clock. Very, very excited. If you have any questions for Matt or for us in general, throw it in the live chat. We'll get it up on the screen. Matt, we still have a few free agent moves that we could potentially be making. Jadeveon Clowney coming into the facility today, maybe an Odell Beckham Jr. Coming in. What do you think of those 2 particular players, and could there be any other thing that we could do to convince these players to sign with us? I saw Johnny Ice Cream was saying maybe I'll send him an ice cream. Maybe we do a cameo with Billy Joel or Bon Jovi or Bruce Springsteen or something like that. What are your thoughts on those players in particular?
Yeah, it's weird because I think the Bakhtiari move I want. Like if you're looking at like new free agents to bring in, I'd bring him in. But Jadeveon Clowney is a perfect fit from a run stuffing ability. And then you throw in there, he has double-digit sacks. Like, all right, perfect edge guy to include. But if you look at our fandom of the Jets, if you go from like 2013 on, the Jets were like a great run defense team. Great. And it never really translated to winning on the field. And then you look at the most recent Jet team, more pass defense, a great secondary. And now you go from like a 5-win team to like a 7-win team. So now if you kind of build the two together, your defense can be near perfect. And that was the one flaw on the Jets last year. Yes, they were on the field a lot. yes, teams are up and they're going to run a lot. So I look at more like yards per carry, not yards per game. But it felt like they needed a stop more on the run game. And I didn't feel as confident in stopping the run as we've done for a decade. So bringing a guy on the edge like Jadeveon Clowney, where you can have Will McDonald be the more pass edge rusher guy, and Jermaine can just always be on the field doing cool stuff. Clowney feels like a perfect fit, and I would do it in a heartbeat. I'm not going to send him anything. I think lightning struck. We had a good moment, right? We had a fun moment. I'm not trying to overdo it. So hopefully, though, they'll bring him good food and he can be a Jet for a year.
What do you think about the people that say, like, talk about Odell Beckham Jr. and the connection with him and Rodgers? He obviously got a lot more than I think fans wanted to pay him last year. I don't know if he necessarily commands the same type of contract. Is he someone that's on your radar to bring in, maybe in the slot receiver? Because now all of a sudden you got a situation where you got Garrett Wilson and OBJ and Mike Williams as your starting wide receivers. And that's like, I'm kind of drooling over here thinking about that.
Why not? Like, why not? And if you get OBJ, then you're leaning probably very heavy to take a tackle or trade down and take a tackle for depth. If you get OBJ, you're very deep now at receiver. Like Allen Lazard, I talked about it before. We don't want him playing meaningful snaps, but if he has to with Rodgers, he's probably going to be a wide receiver 3, a fine player. If he's your 4 and you like Gibson at 5 and Brownlee at 6, or you take a day 3 receiver if you don't want to keep Brownlee, the Jets are really damn good. And you not only have to worry about the 3 maniacs at receiver now, you have Breece Hall in the backfield who had 1 million catches last year. And if they had the game plan they did the final 5 weeks, Breece Hall would have had like 130 catches. He had like 12 targets per game to end the year. So it's a very deep team. If you can get OBJ on like a 1-year, $5 million deal, the only thing I don't know is like the weird podcast where he was like, the Jets never called me back. Like if they can get through that, I'm all in on bringing in OBJ.
Yeah, I feel like he would be an interesting addition. And Clowney, too. You mentioned it before. And he's actually cut down on the penalties a lot. That's always been his knock, like, for the last, basically since the start of his career. In the last 2-3 years, I think he's got, like, 3 penalties a year. It's really not too shabby in that regard. And I'm with you on Bakhtiari. I'm very high on bringing Bakhtiari in. I don't think he's going to cost a lot. I mean, heck, you could sign him to the same exact contract that you signed Tyron Smith for. If one guy goes out, the other guy comes in, we're still paying $20 million for a starting top 5 caliber tackle. I've likened it similarly to the Trent Williams trade that the 49ers made. Like, look, that guy was injured a lot. They gave up a 4th round pick on a crapshoot at that particular point in time. Now they got arguably the best tackle in the league on that San Francisco offensive line, and Saleh was there for that situation. And now, obviously, coming to New York, could they try to go in some similar type of route? Obviously, with a Tyron Smith, but maybe with a Bakhtiari as well.
I'd love it. And I always think back to 2020, like, what if the Jets made that Trent Williams move? Because they were allegedly interested. It's like, what if they just traded for Trent Williams and drafted Justin Jefferson? Like, what happens to Sam Darnold? Like, are we here talking about Sam Darnold in year 3 of a Pro Bowl? Like, it's pretty the what if scenario. I wish we could like take the different path to see what would have happened. But yeah, man, I'm in. Bakhtiari, why not? Again, why not? You have a 1-year window. Who cares? Like, you need a backup tackle. Him and Rodgers are probably going to go out to like a Broadway show every night. Like, they're best. Like, who cares? They're going to be together. So hopefully that's a good move that they'll make. But who knows? I think we'll probably find out next week or so.
Yeah, man, it's just exciting time to be a Jet fan because it feels like we're finally moving in the right direction. And after the season, like, I know from my own analytics on the YouTube channel, it like everyone was sick of talking about the New York Jets. You didn't want to think about it. The coaching staff, the athletic reports, and everything like that. You're kind of, banging your head against the wall. And then I don't know when it happened for you. I know for me, when the Morgan Moses trade happened, that was like, oh man, this unlocks a lot. This goes every sort of which direction. And then obviously the Tyron Smith one was kind of the little icing on the cake before getting the Mike Williams. What was your thought process as we kind of went through free agency? Was there a point where you became more excited for the signings?
The Moses X factor, because you could probably say, hey, maybe we'll get Tyron Smith. That'd be great. But really good tackles don't grow on trees, and people don't move off of good tackles, let alone for a 4th round pick swap. So when that trade happens, I was very excited, but then my next thought is, all right, what about Tyron Smith? Because if you can get him, then you're unbelievably flexible in the draft. And then they do it. And then I'm like, hey, go get Mike Williams. And then they do it. And you're just sitting back and you're like, damn, they really are setting themselves up for something great. But I completely agree with you. The Moses deal was the one that really flipped the switch and was the driving force, I think, behind the optimism amongst the fan base.
Boys and girls, I have NYJ Matt here with me right now. We're talking about the Taylor ham, egg, and cheese victory that we had yesterday with Mike Williams. He's going to be hopping off here, and we're going to be hopping off. But we're going to go give away a shirt right now. Matt, without looking, unfortunately, we only got 3 people that commented on over there for right now. But we'll have more, I'm sure, in the... So we'll anyone that's joining the chat late, if you click on the pinned comment in the description, say Jets Talk sent you, and subscribe to the Broadway Jets YouTube channel, you'll get your shot to win a shirt. We're going to be giving away 2 of them. This one's coming down today. The next one's going to be given away on the call-in show. Can you give me a number 1 through 3?
We'll go 3 because they're going to sign Odell Beckham Jr.
Ooh, all right. Andrew Grzanka. I'm filtering by newest, so from top to bottom. He was the 3rd one that commented, so that's how I did that one. Andrew Grzanka, you wind up winning a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese shirt for the win, courtesy of... Well, I'm going to take care of it, but courtesy of NYJ Matt. The shirt wouldn't have been a thing if it was not for your amazing sense of humor. Plug anything you want to plug right now. Thank you so much for carving out some time. I'm sure you're busy with all the appearances you're going to be making today.
Yeah, been a fun day, been a fun 24 hours. But if you want to go ahead and Broadway Jets YouTube, we keep it more laid back. Me and Mike have been best friends since we were in 5th grade, and we talk Jets all the time. So, hey, let's move it over to YouTube if people want to watch it. Definitely can. And that T-shirt that you plugged, very funny story. They DM me. They're like, hey, we have an idea. Would you be okay with the T-shirt? I'm like, yeah. And they start saying, hey, we can break it down. We'll give you this much. And I'm like, yeah, definitely. And like the worst negotiator of all time, I'm just like, yeah, do it. Like, you're good. They're like, what's your Venmo? I'm like, here it is. And they're like, you don't want to. I'm like, no, you're good. Like, do you want to see the design of it? I'm like, I'm fine. And it was just very funny that shirt went live. And I just had if I had an agent, right, I'm probably making a couple, it's like $100 or whatever. But if I had an agent, they'd be like, why are you not reading any of the fine print? And I was just so excited about like what was happening. I was like, I don't care.
Just riding the wave. I totally understand it. I get it. That dude, viral. ESPN, Good Morning Football, like New York Post. Like, I saw that friggin' picture everywhere. Heck, the New York Jets even changed their profile picture to a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese. This is something very, very cool. Guys, make sure you subscribe to NYJ Matt. The Twitter stuff is incredible. Like, literally every meme that comes out, when I refresh any major Jet story that comes out, I refresh my Twitter feed, and it's NYJ Matt at the top of my feed. And I'm just like, you know what? It brings a smile to my day. I might be having the worst day possible, but just like seeing a stupid little picture of like the crude NYJ Matt logo over someone's face. Oh, it's so great. So Matt, thank you so much for coming on. Boys and girls, make sure you subscribe and follow Matt over on Twitter and YouTube. This is Jets Talk, signing off. JETS.